Let's take you back to the Eskom briefing where they're giving us an update on the state of the system.
We are, I think we're just over 12 billion now. That's what we have spent burning diesel. And that was my comment earlier, starting at 6 billion, having for the first April, May, June, July, August, September, October, first 7 months of the year that you have spent your new provision as well. So that's just for your benefit. And this is why you understand the comment earlier that we don't have any money anymore. So, and this is why we're sitting with this challenge. So that is one question. Then, William, the dispute with the DFFE, that is an ongoing process. It has not been finalized and concluded yet, so it's ongoing. So that is a feedback that I can provide currently. Then, Chris, in terms of the reason for Rhulani's departure, now, when Rhulani tabled his resignation to me, he was just making, he was stating that the demand of the role, the job, has become unbearable. And it has a negative impact on his health and his family time. So, for sure it was a disappointment, but I did respect the fact that he made the decision. Obviously, him and his family made the decision. And colleagues, I just believe one need to understand the demand of this role. And the demand on the head, the leader of the generation business, in turning this ship around from where it is currently. It is an extremely demanding position. So, Chris, that was the reason that Rhulani gave me. Now, your question why the increase, Koeberg, from 120 to 150 to 180 to 200 days. Chris, I visited a power station in the US, Watsbal, where Framatome, at the time, it was in April this year, they were in the process to replace the steam generators. Now, there they've done it many times before, so I spent quite some quality time with them and asked them what is a realistic period to replace steam generators. And at the time they said, and then they asked me, now what do you have in your plan? And I gave them the time that we have put in our plan, and they said there is no way you can do it. So they gave us a realistic, and they also gave me a long list of all the steam generator replacements in the world. And based on that information, Chris, we then decided to be realistic and then rather put a realistic target and then try and beat that. So, and this is the main reason why we have increased, the time for the steam generator replacement together with the refueling and the maintenance. Because it's no use, we tell generation colleagues, this unit will come back at this day. They plan their maintenance and operations accordingly, and then you play a surprise on them, which makes it extremely difficult. So that's basically the reason. And then for Excelsior News, why load shedding during the weekdays instead of the weekends instead of the weekdays? It all depends on the system. It is not that we choose when to implement load shedding. Load shedding is dictated by the status and the performance of the system. And we have discussions on this as well, that typically in the past, the load shedding eased over the weekends because the demand went down, etc. But we found ourselves, unfortunately, with a system that made it difficult to maintain what we've done in the past. So I like to confirm the implementation of load shedding is dictated by the status of the system, based obviously on the demand forecast that we see. I don't know if there are any comments further from my colleagues. Maybe on the DFFE?
If I can maybe just add on the DFFE. So there's been a panel being established by the Minister to actually deal with the issues of the emission and the minimum emission standard. And they are currently, we've been engaging with them through the last couple of months. The panel was established in August. We, as Eskom Generation, have made a number of submissions also to them. And currently they are in the process of having public hearings where they're also obtaining information from other stakeholders. And then thereafter they will probably formulate their report. And the intention for them is to give feedback to the Minister by February, if I got it right. I think the report period is by February. Thanks.
Thank you, colleagues. Those were the last two sets of questions were from Chris Yerland and from Association News. Please give us the next group. Julian Erasmus from Business Day says, in the medium-term system adequacy outlook, Eskom discusses a scenario in which the life extension project is delayed by 2 years. Can you comment on the likelihood of the scenario playing out given the recent maintenance delays? Mariam Isa of EE Business Intelligence, is it not likely that taking Koeberg units offline, though necessary, will worsen load shedding given the lack of spare capacity? The last one in this round is Carol Page of News 24. Mr. Oberholzer, the departure of Mr. Mathebula is the second head of generation to resign in 6 months. What is the problem? How do you hope to attract a new head of generation? The chair of the Eskom board has said that 75% energy availability factor will be achieved. It is not a case of it, but when and how long it will take. What is your estimation? How long will you get there, Jan?
Thank you, Sigunati. Let's start with the first one, Deneen. I'd like to clarify the statement. We looked at certain scenarios in the medium-term system adequacy outlook. We did not say we are going to be delayed, so it is just part of looking at the future, putting certain scenarios, evaluating certain scenarios, and this was just one of the scenarios that we have looked at. So we don't foresee that there will be a delay of 2 years. We believe the outage that will start now in December. We believe, as I said earlier, our readiness is much better, absolutely better than what it was in March when we postponed the replacement of the steam generators. As a matter of fact, at the time, the facility was a big issue. Some contractor delays we experienced. We have dealt with all of these. The facilities are in place. We have, we believe, adequate contractors in place. We have additional project management staff in place. There's a much positive, more positive relationship between Eskom and the main contractor. As a matter of fact, I had in last week, Friday, extensive discussions with the main contractor, Framatome. And there is absolute commitment from their side, although there are the financial claims issues. We've decided that we will run the two aspects in parallel. The focus is to have a successful steam generator replacement project, which will be done part of the maintenance of the outage, which we will do refueling as well as maintenance. So please, it was scenarios that we sketched and that we evaluated. We did not say we are going to be late. So we have all the confidence that we will obtain the license in the end of June of 2024. Miriam, yes, by taking off Unit 1 now, and then straight thereafter, or a few months thereafter, unit number 2 will definitely increase the risk of load shedding. Because it's one stage of load shedding that, so to speak, that we will take offline in order to do the work that I've just described. So yes, the increase of load shedding, the risk of load shedding will increase. Then Carol, yes, you're right. Philip Dekashi resigned in the beginning of the year, and now we are facing a similar situation 6 months later that Rhulani has resigned. And I believe it's a valid question that you've asked, that I've been playing in my head for quite some time, since Rhulani is resigned as well. How are we going to attract another, or the new generation group executive? I believe that what will help quite a lot is understanding where we find ourselves, and to understand that turning the ship around is going to be a mammoth task. Do we believe we can do it? Yes, we do believe. However, we need additional capacity, and by having additional capacity in the country as soon as possible, and to do it as SA Inc., that we all understand how critical it is for turning this ship around. You know, when the President made the statements at the end of July, it was one of the things that he made very clear, that we need additional capacity in order to assist. So that will obviously, Carol, in my mind, make a huge contribution, that the generation colleagues, being led by the new group exec, will have the opportunity to look well after the plant that need the care. So, and also to understand that this is an extremely demanding job. It really is. So I believe understanding an additional capacity will go a long time and a long way to assist in making this more attractive, and to have a lasting group executive. Because, you know, working, I take myself, and I can only comment for myself, by working 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, start to take a toll on yourself, and also on your families. And if there's always just criticism and no positive enforcement, it does make it extremely challenging. And we also need to understand that we have lost a lot of skills and experience in this business. And by getting skills and experience to a level that we need to have it, is going to take time. So, Carol, I hope I've answered you. So those are some of my views. Yes, the Eskom chair, we respect his view. We absolutely respect that we need to go back to 75%. I cannot comment, sit here and in all honesty say by when it's going to happen. That is definitely where we aim to go to, because that's where we want to be. The period and the time, I cannot comment on now. I don't think there's anybody with great respect in the generation or in the Eskom business that will be able to predict now by when are we going to be there. But I can make that commitment, you know, from myself as well as from my colleagues.